Okay, so this video is going to be a little different than the previous videos that I've made in the past. Today, I just wanted to make a video specifically on styling vintage clothing. I was a little organized this time, so I did some research, I did some homework. So I have 3 parts. So the first part is going to be just talking about some of my favorite vintage pieces, and then also just like pieces that I think are like staple pieces that you could get. And then number 2 is going to be the stuff that I look for when I'm buying vintage clothing. So like certain characteristics that I think makes certain pieces stand out more than others, and then also what you should look for when you want to purchase clothing like this. The third part is going to be how to wear the pieces, or just personally how I would style those pieces. To start it off first, I wanted to talk about pants. So I have a couple pants that I think are some good statement pieces. The first of that is going to be the OG 107, or any military-esque pant. There's a lot of different variations. There's some that I also showed in like another video, HBT military pants. I believe they're called the P44s. Either one of those, the OG 107 or the P44, just a nice heavy military pant, I think goes really well with a lot of different outfits, and it's a pretty versatile piece. It's also comfortable as well. So that's the first pant that I would recommend. Okay, so moving on to the next pair of pants, it's going to be just distressed jeans in general. There's a very specific look that I will show with some pictures here. I don't have a specific brand for this. There's a lot of different variations. What I specifically like with jeans is distressing where you can see the wear, specifically like either like patches on the knees or like on the back you get like whiskering from the creases and stuff. So anything in that capacity where it's like you get like sort of that wear on the jean where it's visible is something that I would recommend. The next pant I want to talk about is, I really haven't seen this next pant worn very frequently, but I think that this is a really good statement piece to get, and that pant is corduroys. So there's a lot of different variations of the corduroy pants. One of the ones that I think is a really good statement piece that is pretty expensive, the R Legacy Aurora cords. I think those just released recently, but a lot of times with corduroys, it's like I haven't seen a lot of corduroys that are faded very much. Most of the ones that I see are just like one standard color. I actually do have a pair of corduroys that I got recently, and they're just like a standard black, but the material is very interesting. It adds a lot of texture to your outfit. Reminds me a lot of like the Issey Miyake pleats, with just sort of like that vertical lines. So I think it adds a lot to every outfit. So that's definitely a pant that I would recommend, is corduroys. And then a recent pant that I think a good statement piece is vintage sweatpants. I do know Tremaine, the creative director of Supreme. No, I don't know him personally, but I do know that he has been seen wearing those a couple times. I think the nice thing about those is that when you have like a graphic on those sweatpants and then it's like a vintage pair, a lot of times it'll have like cracking on that graphic, which will just look really nice. And then also sometimes you get like just really interesting fades on those pants as well. Okay, so moving on to the tops, like outerwear basically. I think the number one thing that people think of when they think of like wearing vintage clothing, or like the standout pieces, I guess like the standout pieces, normally it's gonna be like your collegiate sweatshirts, hoodies, and then also like just your everyday like green like army jacket. Outside of just like the standard military jacket that sort of everyone has, one of the ones that I've been looking at recently is I believe it's like a Swedish military jacket. The first time I saw it was when Pharrell wore it. That jacket is, I would say, pretty unique. Those jackets are pretty expensive, but I do think you're paying for a more standout piece. Then moving on to like the collegiate sweats, I think that's like a staple piece. I mean, if you're gonna wear like the whole vintage aesthetic, I feel like you kind of have to get at least one like collegiate sweat. I still want to get one of the Champion reverse weaves. I don't know what it is about those hoodies and crew necks, but the Champion reverse weaves just fit just absolutely terrible. I've tried on a couple and they just, I don't know. There's just something that's not right there. I do also want to look at like the the gusset ones from the 1960s, the Champion. And then moving on, I think another jacket that is pretty essential is either the Type 1 or Type 2 Levi's denim jacket. I think honestly, if you're gonna, go for the whole vintage look, I think it's really important to have a good denim jacket. And, everyone's always wearing the Type 3. I believe that the Type 1 and Type 2 just look so much better than the Type 3. I think Type 3 has kind of been ruined by just like the whole mall aesthetic. Like every single fast fashion brand that you can think of probably has a Type 3 jacket, like knockoff version. So I feel like at this point, if you're still wearing a Type 3, what are you doing? But yeah, I would say definitely go for a Type 1, Type 2. The price is going to be a little bit up there, but you can also find like a Japanese reproduction version. Another piece that I want to talk about is the cardigan, and specifically college cardigans. I think that's a nice alternative to the college sweats. They do fit a little weird and they're not the most comfortable, but I think a lot of times they have really unique patches on them that really just stand out, and the colors are pretty interesting. I also do think jerseys are coming back, specifically like the vintage ones with the mesh, and then like it almost looks like spray paint over the mesh in some of those jerseys that I've seen. And then lastly, I want to talk about patch jackets. I do think there's just a lot of work jackets in general that look really clean, but I think, being able to take that to the next step is just adding patches to basic like mechanic jackets and just vintage workman's jackets. I think it just adds a nice touch having like different patches with different colors on there, and I think a lot of like other brands are starting to replicate that. Bodie does that pretty well. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is also footwear. I think footwear is really important. I do love my waffle racers that I showed in like a couple of videos back, but that's a good pair of vintage shoes that just kind of completes the vintage look pretty well. I would say just material wise, they're gonna look pretty dated in nature. I think that's pretty nice as well. I also think that hiking boots, I think these specific hiking boots in general just look really good with any type of vintage look. I'm not sure the specific name of these boots, but if you just search vintage hiking boot on eBay, you'll be able to find these. I think just something about that red lace with just that kind of suede finish just looks really amazing. There's also another pair of Guidis that I think look really fire. It's the Guidi hiking boot, and that's another pair of hiking boots that I think just would go really nicely with any vintage outfit. So I think hiking boots in general, don't discount how nice they could look with your outfit. Okay, so moving on to characteristics that I would look out for when you're trying to, put together a nice vintage collection. I mean, if you're gonna buy vintage clothing, I feel like the most important thing to look out for is the fade and the distressing, because here's the thing, vintage clothing by itself is inherently going to be more expensive than the regular version of that t-shirt that's brand new. So if you're gonna pay for the vintage name that goes along with that piece of clothing, you should at least get a piece of clothing that's gonna look a lot more unique to the newer counterpart. So always go for the graphics that are pretty faded and have cracking on them, just because you're getting more for your money. You're gonna get that look, you're gonna get that distressed faded look. I also feel like nowadays too, if you end up not wanting to wear that in the future, the pieces that are distressed and faded are going to have way more resale value as well. So I feel like it's just a better investment to just buy the piece that is more faded and more distressed. The other characteristic that I look for when buying vintage clothing is the fit, just because with each piece being so unique, you can't just rely on knowing that a certain brand is going to fit the same as a piece that you got before. Yeah, so I know Russell Athletic crewnecks are decently popular, and those fit very nice, very cropped, very boxy. When you're looking to buy hoodies like that, I would just say make sure that you review the measurements, because you can't just rely on a size large fitting the same as the size large that you already bought. The last part that I was going to talk about was just how I personally put certain pieces together, and then also giving you guys some more photos to see how to pair some of these pieces pretty nicely. So I would say one big thing is really just, or at least for me personally, I like to contrast. So like, yeah, so if I have a pair of jeans that's pretty distressed, I'm gonna wear like a crew neck on top that's pretty plain, just so it gives that nice contrast. Honestly, that's up to you what you want to do. Another style that I think mixes really well is like functional outerwear. So like just outdoor gear in general mixed with like a vintage article of clothing. I think those two things, since they're just so like different in nature and in function, when you pair them together, it just looks really good. So I'll give some examples of that. But yeah, I think that that's like the main way that I style vintage is I really like to style it with pieces that look pretty different from the main vintage piece.
Yo, another day, another sleigh.
Damn, bro.
Got something casual today. We got the jorts on.
Yes, sir.
Wales Bonner.
Oh, you're rich.
I am.
Oh,
and then we got the vintage tee. And then just bucket hat.
Something light.
Had a Gucci as always. So just something light, you know. Like I said yesterday, I feel like I can't get dripped out because it's too humid. Like right now it's like 90 degrees, so
It's fucking hot, bro.
it's really hot. Yeah. So yeah, we just outside. We went to the Lyria pop up. If you guys don't know, Cafe Lyria. They just started this like this brand. So they have like tees. They just released tees and they dropped like jerseys before that. I'll put a picture up so you guys can see. But yeah, the pop up was pretty fire. They got like some heat, so definitely tap in with them. But yeah, just chilling, bro. About to go to the 454 concert. If I still have energy, but yeah, that's about it.
Like Emma said, we went to the pop-up today. It was calm. It was cool. Got to the whole music area. But yeah, today's a chill day. Went out last night. It was pretty active.
It was wild.
The homies threw a little party over at Cafe Katsumi in Brooklyn. That was pretty cool.
Yo, I'm gonna put the picture in, bro.
I'll send you the picture. Temo was wasted.
Yo, chill.
Temo was gone. He was gone, bro. But yeah,
No.
it was sick. Today's a chill day today, though. Gotta go home, bro.
What you going on, bro?
Shit, man. I got a white beater. I got this tee from James Pierce. Sewing jeans. And then Hermes slides. As a man, you shouldn't care about if people see your feet or not. But yeah,
Facts.
quick tips.
Mr. Faster than Jesus, no favorite. Stole me out of the beach in my favorite. Sorry, babe, all the jewelry she played. I was doing love for cost in 2000. I'm like that shit cut right through my teeth when you ain't done. Then I see what was going on. I've been through the blind. Just a bitch and know I followed you. One. Take it.
I want to go to, I mean, I only have a couple more days left in New York and I haven't filmed like anything, so I'm gonna go to this thrift store that I went to like about 2 weeks ago. I went there before, like an hour before it was closing, so I didn't get time to like really see the items they had, but I felt like the selection was really good. Okay, so the store closes at 7:15. Right now it's 5:15. And it takes like 40 minutes from where I'm at right now. So yeah, we're gonna pick out the fit. It's like 90 degrees right now. My AC is, you know, working right now. I feel like you guys can definitely hear the AC running, but yeah, it's like over 90 degrees. As a Seattleite, I'm suffering, bro. Someone come get me, bro, please. All right, so first we got this. This is like a vintage silk shirt that I copped a while ago. And then shorts. The classic. We got the baggies, the 5-inch inseam. Okay, this is what we're working with on feet. New Balances. So I had to pick something comfortable. Honestly, I think these are my most comfortable shoes. I was gonna wear the Hoka's, but not today. And we got the Patagonia bag to carry my AirPods. So yeah, let's go, baby. Let's go. Yes, Sirski. Dadcore. Okay, yeah, so that's it. Thank you guys for, tuning in. This did take me a long time to complete this video. I don't know if I'll do another video like this in the future, but if you guys really enjoy this and you kind of want more like informational videos, I'll definitely give it a go. Yeah, so yep, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on Friday.